So I saw Logan, and let's just say this: it's up there with The Dark Knight and Captain America: Civil War as those comic book movies that did something different, or at least took a chance here. Um, okay, so everyone had been waiting for the great Wolverine movie that we were all promised. Like, we were promised with X-Men Origins Wolverine, that sucked. We were promised with the Wolverine, that was okay at best. And now we finally got it with Logan, which happens to be Hugh Jackman's final performance as Wolverine, as the character, which begs the question, what's going to happen with Wolverine now? Like, I'm pretty sure Hollywood's not going to let it go with the character. They're going to milk it as much as they can. So I'm pretty sure they'll find some other character to replace him, which will be awkward since the series started with Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. It can't just continue out Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. So yeah, that's a dilemma, but I'll talk about that at the end of the video. And it's the year 2029. The mutants are on the brink of extinction due to a virus created by the Transgen Project. So yeah, I was thinking like, wait, I saw X-Men Apocalypse. I saw the post-credit scene. Um, why was it the Essex Corporation that did it? Like, they said the Essex Corporation post-credit scene would factor into Logan, but really in this movie it never does. And Logan has greatly aged because of his healing factor beginning to falter, and the animedium, I'm pretty sure I pronounced that wrong, within his body is now beginning to poison him because so much of it is in his scheduled system. And they never explain why his healing factor is wearing off. Like, is it due to the passage of time? Is it due to the animedium affecting his body? Is it the virus that took everyone out? Like, it has to be something. Like, they could have just not. They should have really explained that. That's like one of the big questions that were never answered. Like, we know the animedium is poisoning his body, but we don't know what's causing the healing factor to falter. And he's spending his days working as a chauffeur and sorry, and hustling for prescription drugs in Texas. And another mutant named Caliban live in an abandoned smelting plant across the border in Mexico, where they care for a senile Charles Xavier who I'll get to that way a little bit later. Logan is also trying to save money since he wants to buy a Sunsucker yacht with it, so he can escape with Charles to a better place, or at least on the ocean. And then Gabriella comes in and off at a funeral, a nurse for the company, who asks him to escort her and an 11-year-old girl named Laura, who is revealed to be Logan's quote daughter, but a biological clone of him, to a place in North Dakota called Eden. After reluctantly accepting the job, Logan discovers that Gabriella has been murdered by the Transgen Corporation, or Project, and their cyborg, Donald Pearson, is cybernetically enhanced and forces the Reavers are out to get them. So it becomes this mission to get. So basically, it feels like, is that really much of a comic book movie to you? It feels like a Western styled, dark, drama filled thing, but it has that Marvel humor going on. So yeah, I could, like, when I think of comic book movie, I think of, oh, superheroes and whatnot, and save the day and whatnot. No, this movie is a lot different. This took more chances on the level of Dark Knight, where it doesn't feel like a comic book movie, it feels like it's something else. Like, you could imagine this something really happening to an extent. Like, The Dark Knight was like an ultra realistic version of a crime, of, of like, of criminal organizations and all that, and there just happens to be a Batman character. There happens to be Batman in the movie. It's sort of the same with Logan. Like, it feels like it's so realistic, but at the same time you have to also take into account, oh, Wolverine's in this movie. Well, Logan is in this movie. They rarely call him Wolverine. They in this movie, which I thought, oh, that's actually kind of interesting. Like, since the X-Men are gone, we never knew what, but I'll get to that in a bit. but they call him Logan mostly throughout this movie. So yeah, and Laura, the actress who played her, the young kid, she was great in this movie. Like, she rarely talked until like the third act. She was mostly silent with screams and grunts and noises, but you can mostly tell through facial expressions and physical acting how she was in the character's personality. Like, that was the better things about this movie. Logan was great. Charles Xavier was great. Though I will say that the one issue I did have was Charles Xavier cursing a lot. Like, it just seems weird. Like, I can imagine the younger Charles Xavier saying that, played by James McAvoy, but Patrick Stewart as Charles Xavier saying the F word like multiple times. Like, I can't imagine that. Like, I haven't seen all of his movies, therefore I have not seen the Star Trek sequel saga they made, where he probably maybe if well I don't know about the sequels, the new generation side of Star Trek. I didn't really see a lot of Patrick Stewart movies, but it was hard to imagine him cursing a lot in this movie. Like, we gotta make that R rating count. And also, the R rating was really justified in this movie. It was bloody, gory. You could hear the stabbings happening. And when and I was with my mom when we watched this because, well, my mom wanted to also had to come with me, but yeah, she cringed a lot when she saw all the blood and gore and whatnot. I was wanted to laugh in the theater at that, but like, yeah, I know how to keep quiet on that. So yeah, and when they got to more serious moments, like when Charles Xavier is killed by X-24, a clone of Wolverine, and therefore Hugh Jackman the second, I was like, wow, they killed off Xavier? Like they like when his story arc was completed, I had a feeling they were gonna kill him off. Especially when I heard that Patrick Stewart said he was retiring as Charles Xavier, or Professor X, as he's also known. And I was like, yeah, he's also gonna die. But I didn't think they would actually do it. Like, this is Charles Xavier. It was hard to imagine him getting killed off, except in X Men 3. But like I said, they did that in X Men 3, and everyone complained about that to this very day. So yeah, and I love the one thing. There was several things that I liked in this thing that mostly stand out for me. Was the whole X Men comics being having a role in this movie, other than just be Easter eggs or just be like how do you explain this character? Like they factor into a place called Eden, and then then Logan reveals that finds out that it's the over the location of Eden as he discovers it being referenced in an X Men comic book, and it turns out that okay, like here's the best way to describe it. It's like let's take a real life event and put it in there, but greatly exaggerate it. That's pretty much what the X Men comics in that universe was made. Like the X Men, they became heroes, and they were champions of justice, and the media has to exploit this somehow and make a lot of money out of it. So they made the X Men comics, which tells their stories from possibly from word of mouth alone, since I'm pretty sure the X Men don't want to be interviewed, especially Logan. And they go ahead and just hear word of mouth of what they heard, and do the best they can, but greatly exaggerate the stories to make it fit in this mold where the children can look up to them. Like even Logan says when he's looking over that maybe a core of this certain event happened, and I was like, okay, that's kind of cool. Like that's meta, but that's really cool that they would use the actual X Men comics to try and tell their story as a way to say that this is a plot device. We gotta do this, we gotta do that, and also as a point A to point B movie. But I did love the X Men comics playing a factor into this movie, not just be special Easter eggs. Like that was really cool. And the second thing I liked was mainly how we got a sense of closure with Logan. I really love that. And especially since Logan dies at the end, like, woo, man, that was shocking. Like Logan is killed off. Like, it's well, I wouldn't say shocking. I think more like partially shocked. Like, Hollywood, you killed Wolverine off? Like, Hugh Jackman said it was going to be his final performance as Wolverine, so that's to be expected, but Hollywood would try everything in their power to make the Wolverine character survive so they can milk him for other movies, even if Hugh Jackman's no longer playing the character. So, yeah. And we get through video footage that this is part of the whole transgen project where after the whole mutant destruction of their species, which let me get to in a sec. That kind of makes what happened in Days of Future Past somewhat pointless because everyone kind of lost at the end of it. Like in Days of Future Past, you got this hopeful ending, like everyone survives, everyone's happy, and if they stopped there, that would have been good. But especially when the timeline got all confusing and messed up. But with Logan, this kind of like we heard two sources. One source was saying that Logan was in a completely different timeline. Another one was saying that it took place after Days of Future Past's timeline, where at the ending of it, where everyone looks like it's in a better place. But I don't know the full story on that. Like I'm just gonna go with the Days of Future Past part. So I'm like thinking like, so wait, did all that hard work they do was for nothing? Like, granted, humans are not enslaved by robots, but at the same time, the mutant race has been practically destroyed by a virus created by some scientists who I kind of thought was a little cartoonish at times. So, yeah, Xander Rice, who engineered this virus to wipe out the mutant population and exact revenge on Logan for killing his father during his escape from the Weapon X program, highlighting the whole X-Men Apocalypse scene they did, which begs the question, wait, then what's the Essex Corporation doing at the end of the movie? So, wait, why was the Essex Corporation in X-Men Apocalypse at the post-credit scene, but they're not really used? Then they're not the factor that destroyed the mutant population. Like all throughout the trailers and advertisements and from interviews, they said the XX Corporation has something to do with it, but now it's another thing. Like if they explained that Transgen Project was part of XX Corporation, then maybe that could work. But like, yeah, they never go into detail about that. So yeah, the project, I keep saying corporation because they never say if it was the Essex Corporation doing it. But let me get back to what I was saying. Like, so Gabrielle, who was a nurse at Transgen Corporate Project. Man, what is wrong with me? Um, is revealed that they were breeding mutant children with DNA samples from several mutants, but upon completion of the X-24 project, which was the result of the children developing more of a conscience and being more self-aware of everything, and they either tried to escape, commit suicide, or rebel. But when the X-24 project was completed, the children were to be put to death. And I gotta mention, the R rating also gets children killed. Like, it's not like PG-13 kill where Anakin just flings out a lightsaber at children and we go to another scene. No, we see children die in this movie. And I'm like, oh, oh. And I have heard no complaints about that. Like, I have not heard one complaint yet, though this is just way early into the production of this video. It's way early into the release of Logan. But like I'm thinking like, so let's see if I got this straight. We can do a cut scene in Modern Warfare 3 where a child is killed in an explosion and that causes everyone to lose their minds and saying you went too far. But when an R-rated movie kills off children, like really shown, that's alright. Oh, it's because the kid was a teenager. That makes it alright. He's still a kid. And I'll get to the third part. What I really loved about this movie, I'll just say it was a somewhat of a plot twist. Like, it doesn't change the story, but, like, it's a plot twist because they hinted at it. But I'll get to that in a bit. And also, moving on from that, like, when I saw the X-24 kill Charles Xavier and the family, like, I love the family dinner scene. Like, it felt like a family moment there for everybody. Like I thought they were like reaching, like they were halfway there, like they were getting help from people. Like that was my initial thought, but I thought, considering how this movie has been so far, I'm pretty sure this is just gonna be a pass by. Like they just pass by them and they offer and they help them out, and I was right on that. And they get rewarded with a place to stay for the night. So yeah, I kind of saw that coming, but it was still an awesome moment, a heartfelt moment. Like it feels like an actual family with Xavier, Logan, and Laura, or X-23 if you want to call her that. And Xavier also was great in this movie. Like the cursing that, like I said earlier, like that just, yeah, I don't know how to feel about that. Like if this was younger Charles Xavier, then yeah, I could picture that. But older Patrick Stewart, yeah, I'm pretty sure Patrick Stewart has cursed before in movies, like Green Day or Green Room, was it, where he plays as a neo-Nazi, I believe it was. Like, I'm pretty sure they cursed in that movie. I never watched it. I wasn't really interested. So, yeah, when he gets killed off, and I was shocked a little bit by that, but, like, when I saw X-24, I was like, okay, that looks like a very convincing younger Wolverine. Like, this feels like X-24 is the Wolverine, the beast, the animal that Logan fears, and he has to fight his demons through this character, but eventually those demons start to overpower him and try to kill him until Laura gets the adamantium bullet, which is revealed that Logan kept for years in case the day ever came that he wanted to kill himself, which I thought was dark and messed up. And she shoots him in the back of X-24's head, and you clearly see it, and he just collapses on the ground. Which begs the question, what happened in X-Men Origins Wolverine? Wait, I'm thinking like, wait, didn't Logan get hit by an anti-medium bullet and he survived? So what was the case here? Like that kind of confused me a little bit. Like I never watched X-Men Origins Wolverine. I just saw reviews of it and clips of it, but I never watched it because I knew it was going to be bad just from reading all the reviews and clips I saw. But like, yeah, especially Deadpool. Like seriously, at that. But like, the interesting thing about this is that it doesn't feel like a comic book movie. It feels like a down to earth, dark, gritty, point A to point B Western film, which at first takes place in the desert. And X-24 also doesn't have the healing factor and a weaker anti-medium skeletal structure. And also, like, Calvin, like, he steals two grenades and detonates them, killing himself and destroying the van, since Calvin was taken by the project group to track down Logan, Xavier, and Laura. But like, yeah, I knew, yeah, he's gonna die. Like, I don't recall his character as much as I assume. Like, I think he was in the movie, in the previous movie. Like, trying to remember. Like, from what I read, it said he was in X-Men Apocalypse, but I can't really remember that. Okay. But anyways, but I really don't remember him being in X-Men Apocalypse. I could have missed some scenes. But yeah. After Xavier is dead and and Logan buries him, Laura, who after watching movies that show emotional moments, she takes Logan's hand, and Logan just gets out of her grasp because he's not that kind of guy. Can't. He doesn't want to be this father figure or be her father. He doesn't want anything to do with her to an extent because he's lost so much and in such little time that he's afraid to let people in, which is what happened to Xavier. He let him in, and now Xavier's dead, and ironically by his hand. And we never know if Xavier thought Logan killed him because throughout bits of the movie, Xavier has kind of insulted Logan and saying that Logan wants him to die. But really, when we learn the twist a bit about Charles Xavier, I get the feeling like, oh, so that's the reason why they want the boat, why he wants the big yacht. So yeah, moving on. The action scenes were great. Let me just say that bloody and gory, I must add. But yeah, it was awesome. But like when I saw the Munson family get killed, I was like, they really killed them off. Like I wasn't expecting that to happen. Like I'm pretty like something told me a bit when they were being hunted down that the family would get caught in the crossfire, but I didn't think they would get killed, and they do brutally by the clone of Logan. But Xavier, like we don't know if Xavier thought Logan killed him or if he thought Logan killed him, or it was someone else that just happens to look like Logan. But it does grasp this element of horror to it because, oh, oh, that's uncomfortable. Like now, Logan for the remainder of this movie is gonna have to have this feeling that Xavier thought you killed me. Um, yeah. Now, along with like I know I'm just going all over the place because I didn't want to completely overview the plot and explain detail through detail through detail. I'm just trying to highlight moments of mine and give my detailed thoughts on everything. But I know I rambled on several points in this review or this thoughts video. But like, yeah, I just can't help myself. I'm also kind of shy when it comes to speaking to technically an audience, even though I'm really talking to myself into an audio recorder or on my computer. But like, yeah. So afterwards, when Logan was grieving over Xavier's death, and he was raving and going crazy over the fact the car wouldn't work, the audience laughed. Like, if you take the context out of it, then yeah, it's kind of funny. But when you look at it and look what's happened, like, dude, this man is grieving. He just lost someone he considered like a father figure, and he's dead now. Um, yeah, I'm pretty sure that makes the audience kind of effed up. So Logan had said throughout the movie, like, he never uses a gun, but he kills Rice with the gun. I think, like, the scene would happen so quickly, like, I could have sworn he drew a pistol out and shot him. And that killed Rice quickly. Like, I thought for sure he would have a bigger role than just be, I am the man who destroyed the mutant population. And they never explain like how did like they say they infected corn syrup, which is used in a variety of foods and beverages. But like I'm thinking like, wait, then how does Logan still have his abilities? How is he alive? Was it his healing factor? Okay. Wait, then how did Caliban survive? Wait, how did Charles Xavier survive? Like corn syrup is practically mostly everywhere, but like, so what? Did they had to not eat certain foods? Like they never really explain that. Like there's some things that don't get explained, but everything else is so good in the movie, part of you just doesn't care. And also, okay, Pierce, like I couldn't tell for one moment if they killed him off or not. The children did. Like I was thinking, like, wait, is he just trapped in grass or was he killed? Yes, the children encased him with glass with their powers, and I'm like, did they kill him? Is he dead? Like they never showed it. Like he was still struggling when the scene was over, so yeah. And furthermore, he was kind of cool in the movie, and like as I live and breathe, the Wolverine. And you just had this moment that Logan just finds that word uncomfortable. Like this was loosely based off of the Old Man Logan comics, which shows that the villains have taken over the world, or at least the US. But like, there is one thing in this movie that really made me look at it differently a bit, and I really love this. Now, throughout the movie, Charles Xavier has this degenerative brain disorder, or Alzheimer's disease, or dementia. And Logan has to keep giving him medicine to help him forget some things. Like, at points, like, okay, like, I had this debate with my mother, like, wait, is the medicine affecting him, or is it not? Is he just suffering from Alzheimer's disease, or dementia? But, like, yeah, Charles Xavier has these seizure-induced psychic attacks where everything just freezes and paralysis happens, and it could be very deadly, which led to a cool scene where Logan killed several of these guys when they were all frozen and still standing there until the paralysis stopped, when Logan injected the serum into Xavier. So, yeah, they also mentioned after the scene where Charles Xavier is saying, like, I'm sorry I did this, to all the people who were unconscious or groaning in pain. And here's the thing. The radio talks about this certain incident that happened in Winchester. Uh, I'm trying to remember the play. I'm trying to remember the name. I probably got it wrong, I think. But they mentioned this incident, and I kept thinking on the back of my head, there was something there. Like, what were they doing there again? Like, I'm trying to remember. Like, I've heard of that place. It's been in all the X-Men movies, I think, except for X-Men Origins Wolverine. I never saw that. But, like, what was there that had Xavier there? And then Xavier talks about how he remembers everything and how the radio also says that 600 people were injured and several people died. And then when I read articles and finally my memory came to me what was there, I was like, oh my god. Then I looked up what the Old Man Logan comic was about, how the villains took out the X-Men. And in the X-Men comic of Old Man Logan, or the Marvel comic if you want to go there, since it also has other superhero characters, they say that Logan was tricked into killing his friends and the students because Magneto created an illusion. In this movie, however, they do a different plot twist, which I thought was like, oh my god, they did that. Like, all throughout the movie, you're told that you're all throughout the advertisements, the trailers, and all that, you got the feeling like, oh, the X-Men were wiped out because of whatever took out the mutants, and the virus had something to do with it, and or something else catastrophic happened. But no, you get this hint at when Charles Xavier, before he's killed, where he has this feeling like he's trying to, like, he and Logan have been trying to run away from this incident that happened a year prior. It's revealed, they don't say it directly, but they hint at it, that Charles Xavier killed the X-Men. And I was like, oh my god, they really did that. They really went there. Like, Charles Xavier killed his family. And it wasn't under his control. His mind is deteriorating. And whatever happened pretty much destroyed his family. Logan is able to survive because of his healing factor, along with Laura, since she also can. But but that does raise the question: wait, can Jean Grey do something about that? Like, she's alive at the end of Days of Future Past, so couldn't they, like, explain how Jean Grey managed to get killed by it? Like, I would think that Jean Grey could survive that, but she's clearly dead apparently, since the X-Men are killed off. Like, by mention only. But when I learned of this and finally found out what they meant by this incident, I was like, oh god, he killed his family, he killed the students, or at least paralyzed them and injured them. But okay, that's really dark. Like, really effing dark. Like, I was shocked that they went there. Like they actually did that. Like Xavier really killed his X-Men family and all this and most of the students probably because of this induced psychic attack, this Caesar-induced psychic attack. Now you got why Logan is trying to buy the yacht, why he wants to escape out to the ocean, because because Xavier is classified because of his brain deterioration that he's a weapon of mass destruction by the U.S. government, which has led to me realize that he doesn't want the boat just for whatever or to escape the U.S. because since he's labeled a weapon of mass destruction, therefore he's in danger. He's trying to get him away from everybody else. He wants to keep Xavier from killing other people, but he can't like put him down because he's a father figure to him, or at least the closest thing he had to a father. Since in the X-Men Origins movie, he killed both his fathers. So like, he doesn't want to kill Xavier because he can't bring himself to do it, but at the same time, he can't risk all these people dying. Like, even after he had pretty much retired as Wolverine, he still kind of cared about people, even if he didn't want to show it. And the final scene at the movie, where Laura and the children bury him before continuing their journey across the border, since that's their plan to go to Canada. As they leave, Laura returns to Logan's grave and removes the cross they placed and places it on its side, creating an X, honoring Logan as an X-Men, as the last of the X-Men. Because at this, all the X-Men are dead pretty much. Xavier's dead, Jean's dead, everyone's dead, Caliban's dead, like, Cyclops is dead, and I was like, now, yeah, there's some questions that never got explained in this movie, but I really, really enjoyed it. This is one of the great films of 2017, I'll say it. Let's just hope the rest of 2017's movies can work because people really need something uplifting since the whole Trump administration started. Now, people are still pissed off about that. I understand why. But Logan ending off with him dying, and especially Laura calling him daddy, since she looks at him as a father, since kind of that is her father due to genetic cloning. And Logan says he finally realizes it because he finally recalls his memories and friendships, finally realizing what it feels like to be loved, to love and be with a family before dying peacefully in her arms. And that was like, yeah, like, man, that was awesome. Like, honoring Logan as the last of the X-Men, and now they're all gone. Like, yeah, that was emotional. Like, my mom was crying, but like, yeah, my mom said she cried a bit when the movie ended, and after everything had happened with the movie, the theater I was at, normally they weren't like, people would usually say that was a great movie. They were just quiet. Like, so, like when we're asked when we left the theater room, and one of the workers asked, "Hey, how was the movie?" and a lot of people didn't answer her. And someone answered what I think everyone was thinking, like it was so somber because it was a sad ending, but also symbolic and had a feeling like, yeah, that was awesome. But like it was also sad because how it all ended, how this is the everything has come full circle, like all of it's ended. And that's really what I feel like about this. Like Logan should be the final installment. Like I know it's not because they already announced that they're making more X-Men movies, unfortunately, but this really should be where the X-Men franchise stopped. Like this is how I felt like. Like Logan is the final appearance of Hugh Jackman as the Wolverine, and now, like, well, he's retiring as this character, and and the character was mostly defined because of Hugh Jackman on the big screen. That it's hard to imagine anyone replacing Hugh Jackman as the Wolverine. How can you tell the story without Hugh Jackman as the Wolverine? Like, it's just weird. Like, it began with him, it should end with him. And really, it'd be hard to top Logan. Like, I'm pretty sure it can still be topped, but, like, it'd be hard to do so now. This was a great Logan movie. It was a great movie overall. Like, I can't call it a superhero movie to me. Like, it doesn't feel like a superhero movie. Like, superheroes save the day and whatnot. But this, while there is a saving of the day, it ends with tragedy and yet with a feeling of somber but also complete and closure. And really, that's the best way to describe this movie. You got closure at the end of all this. Like, you feel like after all the highs and lows of the X-Men movies, it stops here. And to see it and to see it still continue since they're making more of these eventually, since they've announced that, um, it just feels like this should really stop here. Like, I know they might still make more good X-Men movies, but considering how everything ended, it should stop here. Like, you can say that you could tell the story still with Laura and the children, like becoming the new X-Men at years later, but like, how do you can't top Cyclops, you can't top Jean Grey, you can't top Charles Xavier, you can't top Logan, but like, Hollywood will try, so say the producers. But like, yeah, it was a pretty good way to end everything, and honestly, I don't think I could have called for a better way. Especially the R rating, like, went all out instead of PG-13. Even though at times in the X-Men Apocalypse movie, which was PG-13, they did show blood, they did show decapitations, and they did show people being buried beneath the sand and dying. So, yeah. And I knew this was going to be an intense, dark movie, especially from the trailers and advertisements, but there was one thing that really said, yeah, this is going to be a very emotional, compacted movie. There was a teaser for Deadpool 2. Okay, yeah. Like, the film was preceded by a teaser of Deadpool 2, No Good Deed. Deadpool notices a man getting robbed, so he springs to action, but first he has to change into his costume in a phone booth, which is explained, and even he explains why it's there a phone booth. As he's finishing up, the man gets shot, ending with Deadpool eating the man's ice cream. And yeah, I'm confident about Deadpool 2, but yeah, and it was always said that Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds wanted to make a Wolverine Deadpool crossover, but it'd be next to impossible now. But yeah, considering how everything ended, I'd say that was the best way for Logan to go out, and eventually the Wolverine character in movies to go out. Nothing will be able to top that. No one can top Hugh Jackman as the Wolverine. It's just set. It'd be like trying to replace like it's hard to top Alec Guinness from to Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan, but they managed to try and they did really well. Since you can imagine him being a younger Obi-Wan Kenobi, but to make another person to be the next Wolverine, that's going to be impossible to top in my opinion. So yeah, Logan, I say go see that movie before it's no longer in theaters, and eventually buy the Blu-ray and DVD. And I also heard that they're making a the director might be trying to make a black and white version of Logan, which could be interesting. And honestly, I hope they make an extended cut. Like, it helps. So, like, I would be welcoming an extended cut version of this. Like, it's perfect the way it is, but I just am a sucker for extended films because it just is. Like, yeah, this movie was awesome. I can't help but recommend this. So, yeah, the characters were great. Everybody was great. Whew, man, the actions were awesome and gory. But I think I should stop here. Well, everyone, this was Neo Reality Entertainment. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and donate. Stay tuned for more.